Savelyeva. That's not an easy name to say. So Angela, I acknowledge you right away. And I'm so touched and so in love right now with Andrea and Adolfo about what they shared. So thank you. I just felt like that was very touching. And I want to begin with a few questions today. Raise your hand if you've ever been in a situation, maybe at work or at school, or maybe in a friendly social situation, where you wanted to speak up, but you just felt like you didn't have a voice. Hold your hand up, like look around, and remember, how did it feel to feel like you don't have a voice? Like, what were some of the feelings present?
Scared.
Nauseating, scary. Hopelessness.
Despair.
Small, despair. Shame, frustration. We've all been there. How small makes us feel, right? So like really, really small. How disempowering. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew if you were to speak up, not you, but someone else will get hurt? That's a very different situation, but that's not a tough one. I want to share a personal story. I'm going to share a few stories today, but I want to begin with a family story that I've never shared publicly, but I feel called to bring it forward today. So this was back in, like, go with me, it's 1948. We're in Siberia. If you've never been to Siberia, you don't go to Siberia by choice. Right? So it's a small town. In Siberia, when a snow day is when it's so cold that it snowed the whole first level of your building. In fact, that's the snow day, right? So just to give you a sense, it's below freezing maybe 8 to 9 months a year. So it's early fall, winter, early fall, nighttime. So of course it's below freezing. You can hear the crickets. It's really, really quiet. It's a very small house, just 2 rooms separated by a door, very simple. Couple sleeping in one bed, like a 42-year-old husband holding his wife. They're very tired. And a 12-year-old girl in a room next door. It's really, really quiet. And then you can hear very, very loud stomping by the front door, start to knock on the door. And before the husband even gets a chance to wake up, they push through the door, they come into the tiny little room, they grab the they grab the husband, the 42-year-old man, who barely has a chance to open his eyes. His wife is holding on to his legs at that point. The soldiers drag him out. The 12-year-old girl is standing, shaking, disempowered, small. All she can do is whisper, "Daddy, Daddy." She will never see her daddy again. The next week, that man gets shot. But that's not even the worst of it. That 12-year-old girl, her name is Valentina. That is my grandmother. I was named after her. And what happened that following week, she was forced to publicly denounce that her dad was not her dad, because her dad was declared to be the enemy of the state because he said something that the government did not like. And a 12-year-old had to publicly say, "This man is not my dad," because if she didn't, she couldn't stay in school, she would never be able to join the party, and she would never, the political party, she would never be able to have a job or have a money. So the reason this story comes up, I actually never met my grandmother. She passed away 10 months before I was born. In many ways, I feel like it was part of my destiny to carry some of the story forward. I was named before I was even conceived. My dad said, whoever it's going to be, boy or girl, it's going to be Valentina. And I was born, it was still Soviet Russia, but the thought of not having a voice was always just so dear to my heart. And I feel like my entire life has been a journey, not just finding mine, but supporting many, many others finding their voices. So that's the journey that's been present for me. So kind of fast forward, the Soviet Union, the wall falls down. The first time I come to US, I was 15 years old. I came by myself. I was an exchange student. And you'd think, as a 15-year-old coming from Soviet Russia, where, the entertainment was to get candy or to get milk or bread, you celebrate, it's exciting. Trust me, it's really exciting if you haven't had one for a while. You'd think I would be fascinated with the long grocery aisles, I still remember coming into the long aisles of grocery stores with so many choices for toilet paper. I would cry because it just never made any sense to me why there's so many choices. But what touched me the most was not in that. What touched me the most is this freedom that we have. The freedom to think, and the freedom to express what we think, what's in our hearts. So when I came back to my tiny Dzержinsk in Russia, it was still cold and still Russian thinking at the time. One thing that I started, which still continues to this day, and that was my only high school, did this out of like hundreds and hundreds of high schools in that entire city area. We started a student government. And our teachers and principals did not like it. But it was so powerful for the first time ever to create a safe space where teenagers could begin having a voice. And it was not just about expressing their voices. It was about learning to listen to themselves first. And that was a skill that I realized was something that was underdeveloped. Because if we don't have a safe space to express, if we don't have a safe space where we can be heard, we forget and we stop listening to ourselves. And that's what I learned is the most dangerous thing of all. So, as a coach, many of you know I've been a coach for a while, and one of my most recent pieces I'm a published author now, and I just had a call with my New York publisher. My book will be in Barnes & Noble's in April 2000, whatever next year is. You'll hear all about it. But I've learned a lot on that journey. But as a coach, of course, I reflect a lot, and a lot of us are coaches. So here's my question for all of you. What do you think is the unspoken secret to finding your voice? Any ideas? What do you think is about?
Using it.
Using it. Huge, right? To have a space to use it. What else? Yes.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth, right? To know the truth and tell the truth. What else? Love it. Jimmy.
Not be afraid of what other people think.
Not be afraid to what other people think, so I can have a safe space to do so. Julia.
I was going to say overcoming judgments.
Overcoming judgments, so important, and to have a space where we can do that. Yes.
Being still.
Being still? Yes, I love it. Being still to listen. Again, having a space where we can be still and listen to ourselves first. Yes?
Having belief and confidence in yourself.
Having belief and confidence, right? And how important to cultivate that first. So these are all so beautiful. So if I combine all of these, and this is the secret sauce of any coach, this is what I do for all of my clients, and this is what is so precious to me about our club, because I believe we do that for each other. The secret, unspoken secret, to truly supporting someone to find their voice is to listen to them. To really listen. To give them space to express, to hear themselves, and to really receive them. So today is a very special day. And I joined Coach Masters over 2 years ago. And back then, we were at a meeting at a small restaurant. I think it was like 7 or 10 of us the first meeting I came in. It was tiny, and I didn't know anything about Toastmasters. And I've told this story before. This one came up. It was table topics, and she came up to speak, and she froze. And then everyone clapped. And everyone listened to her being silent. Because in that silence, we saw her, we saw what it's like to be courageous and to show up. I joined that day.
Hmm.
And a month later, I was invited to join the leadership team. And I was so honored to serve on that team. Later, I joined the speaking bureau, and I served on that team as well. And it was always about listening and creating a safe space where everyone could be heard. Because that is how we are what we are. That's what took us out of that restaurant in these beautiful big spaces. And that's what continues to take us to those big competitions, to those big presentations that we all make. So my invitation for all of us, let's keep coming back and creating the space where all of us